Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, we'll be looking at how we can pawn broker from HackTheBox, an easy rated Linux machine. So let's get started. Let us first make a directory for our broker machine, and we'll navigate to our broker directory. Next, let us start with our Nmap Enumeration scan. So we'll do nmap-p-min rate, and we'll do a 10,000 and our broker IP address. Now, what this command means is that we'll send a minimum of 10,000 packets every second, and we'll be scanning all the ports in this broker machine. So as you can see that the results came in pretty quickly with our minimum rate flag. Now we can tell from here that port 22, our SSH is open, as well as our port 80. Now we have more information on what ports are open. We can do a more detailed scan. So we can do -p with all the ports that are open, and we'll do a SCV, which stands for version, and a script scan, and we'll just output it to a nmap file. So in the meantime, we can fire up our Firefox browser, and we can navigate to our broker machine. Now from here, they're asking us if what is our username and password. So let us try admin and password. And as expected, yeah, we can't log in, but let us try admin and admin, which is a standard credentials that's used in default applications, and we're inside the application. So you can see that this is actually a active MQ framework, and let us poke around the website to see if there's anything useful that we can know. So we're logging as localhost, and you can see that this active MQ is of version 5.15.15. So once we see this, we can actually immediately see if there's any known vulnerabilities in this active MQ version. So it's 5.15.15 vulnerabilities. And yeah, so we can see that the vulnerability for this version of active MQ is CV 2023-46604. So you can take the time to read more about this vulnerability, but for this video, we'll be going through if how do we exploit this part of this CV right here. So let us copy it, and we can paste the CV name followed by exploit. And you can see immediately that the first result is actually a GitHub repository that shows a POC of this CV right here. Now without further ado, let us clone this Git repository and see what we can make use of. In the meantime, when we get back to our terminal, we can see that our nmap scan has finished and it's being saved to our nmap file right here. So we can see that based on port 61616 is actually using Apache MQ, active MQ open wire transport, and all the other relevant information. So let us now clone it to our broker directory. So git clone here. Now let us navigate to our newly cloned git directory. So let us learn more about this repository right here. So you can see that for prerequisites, we already have Python 3 installed in our Linux machine, and we have to change the URL in our poc.xml file. So let us take a look at our poc.xml file. And in this line, you can quite easily tell that it is actually a bash reverse shell to connect back to our host machine. So let us replace this IP address with our own local machine's IP address, which is 10.10.14.90, and we'll just keep 9001 as our port number. Let's save it. Alright, now let us follow the command here to use this exploit. So let us input our target IP, which is the IP of our broker machine, which is 10.10.243.11.243, and our target port. Now our target for this active MQ exploitation should be a standard. So here it is. The standard port number should be 61616. So let us put 61616. And for our URL to our port, we will host a Python server to connect to this to connect to our file right here. So it's 10.10, which is our host machine, and we'll connect to a port number which we've opened. So let us put 7777 as our port number, and we'll just put the file here, which is linked to our POC. So it's POC.xml. Alright, so now before we execute this command, we have to have everything ready. So let us open a few more tabs. Remember when we said we have to set up a server, we'll use python 3 .-m http server 777, which we specified just earlier. Now what we can do is to stand by our reverse shell to 9001, which we specified in our POC.xml. Once we're ready, we can execute our payload right here. So we'll press execute. So you can see from here that our Python server that we have actually successfully get our POC.xml file, and we'll see if there's a reverse shell here. And there it goes. So let us try to upgrade this reverse shell. So the standard command should be python 3 -c import pty.spawn. Okay, so now let us press Ctrl Z, and we'll do a stty raw-echo and foreground on the same line, and we'll press enter and enter another time. And now let us set export our term to the term of our original shell. And now we see now let us check to see if we are able to navigate through our commands, and most importantly we're able to clear our terminal too. Great. Now let us proceed on to our privilege escalation method. Now that we're in our ActiveMQ localhost, now let us see what are the ways that we can privilege escalate this. So the first thing is to do a sudo l to see what are the binaries that we can run as root itself. So you can see from here, the binary is actually user/bin/nginx, which is actually what we've covered just now when we ran through our nmap scan, and we noticed that our port 80 is run by nginx. So nginx is actually a web server, and its configuration file is located in vim/etc/nginx/nginx.config. So let us take a look here. So we have the user of data followed by some of the specifications right here needed to run and host the port 80 web server. So if we're able to run this nginx configuration binary as root, we're able to modify some settings in this configuration file and let us access the file systems of the root itself. So in order to do that, let us copy our nginx configuration file to our temporary folder for now so that we can modify it. So let us navigate to our temp directory. Alright, let us know more a bit about nginx. We can actually do a quick Google search and see the nginx configuration template. So we can type nginx config file, and in this link here, it shows the full example configuration. So the main idea here is that we will have to change the user in this template from www to root, and then if you can come over here to our HTTP, we can see that from this server we can actually serve static files here, and we can actually change the location root to our root location, and we will be able to read all the files under our root directory. Now, having this knowledge, let us navigate back to our terminal, and we will modify our nginx config file. So let us use vim nginx config. Now we will first change our user from www-data to root. Next, in our HTTP segment, we will first add a segment called server, and we will specify the server to be listening on any port, but we will just set it to 6789 for now. Next, we will set our location. Now our location will just be our root location, followed by open curly braces, and we will put our root here. Once we're done, let us close our curly braces. Let us save and exit our file. To execute our Nginx with the newly modified Nginx configuration file, let us take a look at how we can do so by typing Nginx command line. From here, in this page, we can see that the -c option specify which configuration file Nginx should use instead of the default one. So to execute our Nginx with our newly modified Nginx configuration file, let us do sudo -user -sbin -nginx, and we'll do a -c and with the -temp and our newly modified configuration file. Great. Now let us see if we're able to curl our newly created Nginx server, and we do http://localhost, and remember the port that we specified 789, and we'll do something like /password. Great. Now let us see if we're able to get the root flag with this method. So we'll change to root-root.txt, and we get the root flag. Now if you want to take this to an extra mile, you may realize that despite getting the root flag, we are still in our ActiveMQ account. Now the way to privilege to ourselves to root is we have to think about Nginx and what are the ways that we can actually modify some of the files. And one way is actually through the put request. If you want to take a look at how we can actually use put request, we can type Nginx put request, and there is a information on how we can actually allow put requests on our Nginx server. So we have to include def_methods with put. Now let us try. We go to vim with our current Nginx configuration, and from here we shall specify def_methods with put. Now since our current 6789 port is already occupied, we can change it to 6790. We'll close and save our file, and now we can run the file again. Now our file is run successfully. What we can do is actually to navigate back to our normal shell. We can actually check what is our current public SSH key. So what we can do is actually to cd to our current user and .ssh. From here, we can actually do a cat key.public, and here is our SSH key. Now what we can do is to actually copy this and navigate back to our broker machine, and what we can do now is to actually call and have the put request to add into the authorized key of the root machine. So doing so, we can actually SSH as root to this broker machine. So what we can do is actually to do curl -x put localhost, and remember we specify the port to be 6790, and we can do a root.ssh, and the authorized keys are specified under the folder authorized keys. Now this is the place where we'll put in our public SSH key. Put open inverted commas and paste in our SSH key, and we will press enter. Now that our broker machine has been updated in the root section with our SSH keys, what we can do is actually to try to log in. And what we can do is actually to do SSH-I, and we can put in our public key, and we'll SSH as root at 10.10.11.243. And we are logging as root in the broker machine. I really hope you guys do enjoy and take away something from this video. And if you do like this video, please remember to subscribe and like so that I will be posting new ones soon. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys again.